some of my friends, and then generally the industry studies and the metrics that people have shown in the industry. Uh, so if we look at the sales, the lead generation process, right? So earlier we just used to go to LinkedIn, pull out the list of people, or we just used to buy a list of people from a lot of agencies that sell the data, right? So all that have turned into products now. So people are not selling that data in an Excel format anymore, but they have built products. So you can kind of slice and dice the data actually that you want. But going on to the LinkedIn, finding out all the details, putting them into a drip campaign or a newsletter is not going to work anymore, and it's not working anymore, right? So what successful salespeople across the world are doing right now is going into those areas where not every other salesperson or the every other average salesperson is not doing it, right? For example, the one thing I've just noted down 4 or 5 things that could be of interest for you guys. So one important thing that really works well is finding out all your customers, put them in an Excel sheet, and then if you go to platforms like G2 Crowd like this, let's say if Outlier is one of our customer, for example, if I go on to Outlier profile on G2 Crowd, there are a lot of other review websites like G2 Crowd, Captera, Trust Radius, and all those sites. But if you just go and key in one of your customer name, you will be able to find top 20 alternatives. So G2 shows only top 20 alternatives, but if you could search on Google, you'll find a lot of them. But to start with, you can just go and talk to these 20 alternatives. So you got like 20 accounts here who are similar to Outlier, who have raised funding, got good number of reviews here. So you have a context to talk to them now. So you know that they're exact competitors of your customer. If your customer is making most out of your solution, your your customer competitors also can make use of the solution. And when you go and talk to them, you have the context now. You can say that, hey, one of your competitor Outlier is our customer, and they're like just killing it with making this many meetings, or we have built a product for them. This is a screenshot of the product if you're into services. So you can just build a context around that, and you have all the variables to personalize that thing, right? So going off, if you have 100 customers, you can find almost 100 into 50 of their competitors, and all of a sudden you have 500 accounts to go after, which is good for like 2-3 months to go after all these accounts if you're going after an account-based mode, right? And if you also go to your competitors, websites like G2 Crowd, Captera gives you, let's say in our case, Outplay is a competitor of Outreach. And if you look at here, there are 1,727 reviews just on G2 Crowd. So which means like these many people used the product and they have given the review over the last 5 years or 6 years, right? So if I go to all these reviews and I have all the details of this person, right? So this person, what's his company name? So if I log into G2 Crowd, I'll be able to see his company name and all that stuff. And he has given a review about what he likes and what he don't like about the product as well, right? So now it's easy to go after this person and the company or the account this guy is working. And the best part is these guys move or shift their jobs. So this person might have written this review when he was at XYZ company. And now let's imagine he moved to ABC. Now you have two accounts, XYZ and ABC, to go after. And you can also personalize saying, hey, I was just going through reviews of Outreach on G2 Crowd, and I found your review, and you've said you don't like a particular feature, or your or Outreach is not available, giving you a particular feature for the use case, and we have that feature. So that's an example, just, but you have a lot of ideas that you can get from those platforms, and their competitors as well. So if Nick has written a review for Outreach, you can reach out to Nick and you find out the organization that Nick is working with. So if that organization is using Outreach, the 20 or 50 competitors of that organization must be using some or the other tool. So there are a lot of other tools that we compete with in the market. These are all the tools. So they must be using one of these tools. So you can just go and talk to those companies as well. So it's kind of an endless loop where you have we can go after each of those people, their competitors' reviews. So it's kind of a chain you can go after. And one other thing most of the salespeople don't do well is if you go to your organization's LinkedIn profile, you must be having thousands of followers or hundreds of followers at least who are following your company's LinkedIn profile, but might not be customers for you. So you can go after those people, and you have the personalized context now. You can say, "Hey, I was just going through all the followers of my company, and I found your profile very interesting." Right. So that's one thing you can do. And based on the tech stack as well. So there are a lot of platforms like Built With and a lot of other alternatives, which will give you a list of websites using a particular product or a service, right? So you can find out all the products that are using. For example, in this case, if Pipedrive is your competitor, if you go to Built With and filter out with all the websites using Pipedrive, there are like 4,415 of those websites. So they all might not be using it right now, but you have the full details of these companies using the product here. So it's a good, out of 4,000, maybe you can generate 500 leads in the worst case, right? And you know that these guys are using a CRM Pipedrive, and if you're into the CRM market, these are all leads for you. So that's again one example. There are a lot of other platforms like Built With, or there are a lot of other companies who do the this kind of study and sell those list of companies that are using a particular product. So these are the kind of new lead gen techniques that most of the successful salespeople, or SDRs or AEs are using right now. And these are only few of them, right? So I just could remember only 4 or 5, so I've listed down for you. But I'm sure a lot of people have written success stories online if you go and find on LinkedIn or Google, right? So what do you do once you identify all these people and once you have a list of people to go after? So what do you do generally, right? So what's happening right now is everyone is going after emails, right? So sending cold mails, just newsletters and cold mails is the big time thing now, because there are a lot of tools available to do that now. So it's uh, easy to do the cold outreach right now because of the availability of all the tools. So that's what most of us are doing. But if you look at the stats that Topo has shared recently, only about 24% of these emails actually get opened, right? So we are not talking about responses or meeting percentages. We are talking about only the open rates. So if you send emails to 100 people, only 24 people open it, right? So that's industry average, not your average, right? So again, you have to do a lot of hard work in terms of having the right subject, having the body and all that stuff to get the opens and get the responses. So if you're doing only email cold outreach, you have to think about it, right? And after emails, if you're not doing any calls, you have to look at the stats. It takes about, on an average, 18 calls to actually connect with a buyer. So if you're not doing calls at all, you have to start doing it. If you're doing only 1 or 2 calls, leaving voicemails and then ignoring the account, you have to think twice on that, right? So it takes 18 calls to get connected to a buyer these days. And not just emails and calls. The study on HubSpot says that prospects are also open to chat with you via all these channels, like attending events. Probably events takes time and money to do that, but the other 4 options are something that you can just do from anywhere across the world. So one thing is making use of LinkedIn. Like there are chances of 21% now that you can connect with a buyer on LinkedIn. Text messaging is also another way, voicemails in another way, and having other social media, like apart from LinkedIn, have being active on Twitter or any other social media that is relevant to your buyer persona is another way of getting connected with the people. So now if you look at that, emails, calls, and all these other options are available in the current stack right now. And imagine if you are doing all those things, how many touch points does it take to make a sale these days, right? So as it says here, more than most people think, right? So I don't remember the study, but there is a study over there, like more than 80% of the sales guys just do one or two follow-up touch points and then ignores those accounts, right? But the industry average is it takes minimum anything above 8 touch points across multiple channels like emails, calls, text, and all that stuff uh, to get connected to a buyer. We are not even talking about a sale. We're just talking about getting connected to a buyer. You need to have these many touch points, right? And so what are we doing right now, right? So, or just think, what are you doing right now when you're doing this lead generation or cold mailing outreach? So if you're doing only emails, you have to think about calls and other options as well. So the way to go in 2020 to get meetings or get attention from your prospects or the buyers is a multi-channel approach. So you really have to design your campaign, your sequence or cadence to have all the available options in the industry now. So if your buyer is active on Twitter, you should have that as a touch point. If your buyer is active on LinkedIn, you should have that as a touch point, right? So based on wherever your buyers spend most of their time, you have to add that as a touch point. So now if you can see, we have like 7, 8 touch points all of a sudden, not just email. So you have email, calls, text or SMS, voicemail drops, personalized videos. So if you're just sending long emails, that doesn't cut anymore in this new age. So you can have a personalized video. There are a lot of platforms like Vidyard or Loom, which will allow you to record a quick 30-second or a 50-second video and pitch your product or service making use of videos instead of having a long email, right? And then adding those touch points like sending them a gift card or handwritten letters. So if your average customer value is like more than 5,000 or more than 10,000, probably it makes sense to have send them like a gift card or a handwritten letter to stand out from how your competitors are doing outreach or your competitors are reaching out to the same buyer or the prospect. And social and the LinkedIn touch points, as I said, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter, whatever the touch point that makes sense for you is something you really have to do. So this multi-channel approach is the only way to go, even going forward or even right now, right? So I'll take a pause over here right now, and let's see if we have any questions here. So I don't know, we don't have any questions here. If you have any questions on whatever we have gone through so far, feel free to push in the chat. And otherwise, we will just continue with the next slides.
Yes, and let's make a pause and ask our participants, what about your guys? How do you do outreach? What channels are you using right now? Are you using only emails, or you also up to LinkedIn, or you use any other channels to generate leads like Twitter or Facebook? What works for you guys? Please share your thoughts about it.
Yeah, let's see if everyone on the call doing only emails, or are you guys trying out the other channels that we have discussed?
Email. Yes, as for
Yeah,
me, we
email,
do
we got
email and LinkedIn. Website
mail,
marketing.
LinkedIn.
Yes, LinkedIn also could be a good source of traffic for the website, and website you can add the form.
Oh yeah, so website marketing is also another good channel. Like if you could retarget those people, if you're sending emails,
Yeah.
and when they visit your website, if you could kind of trace back and retarget them with ads on Facebook and all that stuff, that's again a one more touch point there.
Slack works. Yes, this is the this is the nice question about Slack.
I don't know, if you're in a group, it might work. There are a lot of marketing sales groups out there with thousands of people. If your buyer is as part of that group, why not? You can ping them.
Yes, but it's quite like hard approach to join the group and
Yeah.
start spamming everyone.
You can ping them on a private message. I mean, the strategy could be like you find a group with thousands of your buyer personas. You join the group, but don't try to sell in the group, but just ping them outside the group. Kind of a personal DM or finding out their email addresses and reaching out via email. So that could be a lead gen model.
And it's interesting, guys. How many of you are using retargeting or advertisement in LinkedIn or let's say Facebook or somewhere? Have you
Yeah.
ever tried it? Like, so when they go
Uh,
to your website, you catch the pixels and go the retargeting. Just started nothing.
yeah, yeah. So we have tried in our previous startup. I mean, it's really hard to attribute the results, whether that's working or not. But it's easy to find out personal email addresses of all those people, put them on Facebook or LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
and the custom audiences, and then you can also show them the ads on Facebook while you try to send them cold mails and calls. So that's and again one more touch point. When they go to Facebook, they see your logo, and when they go to email, they see your email.
Yes, I personally tried to advertise in LinkedIn, but it's quite expensive for the click. It was like $1.50.
Yeah,
Yes, I guess it
yeah,
was $1.50. So it was.
yeah. Because we are all on LinkedIn, and people on LinkedIn are the one who buys the product
Mhm.
because we are selling it to B2B.
Yeah, LinkedIn. So most of our community they use LinkedIn plus email, I guess.
Yeah,
This is the
LinkedIn plus
main
email.
channels.
Yeah, yep, exactly. LinkedIn plus email. So you can start calling people if you're, I'm sure most of you guys must be targeting people outside Ukraine, probably US, Europe, and all this. I mean, there are a lot of the cloud telephony platforms right now. You can just purchase a US number by sitting in Ukraine, and you can call those people from a local number and leave a voicemail, right? So it's not that hard. You can just do it on LinkedIn. So one question, how to pitch on LinkedIn. So there are different strategies. One, you can have a LinkedIn Sales Navigator and pitch them straight over the in-mail. Or if you want to go for a long shot, you can first connect with them, uh, try to engage on their articles that they have written or a post that they have written, start liking, commenting, and after a week or 2 weeks that guy can recognize your picture on LinkedIn or your name. So then you can start talking about your offering, right? So if you are doing it at scale, maybe the first one works. If you're going after account based stuff where the average customer value or the deal value is higher, the second approach works best.
Yes. So we can move on, I guess. We don't have any
Yeah.
other questions for now.
Yeah, so we can move in. We'll take questions. If you guys have just put it in the chat box, we'll take questions.
Yes.
So these are all the multi-touch approaches. So there are a lot of softwares in the market now, which will allow you to create a kind of a sequence or a drip campaign, which says that okay, day one I'm going to send them an email. Day three I'm going to send them a LinkedIn connection request, and day five it's a personalized video email, and day seven I'm going to call them based on whether they've opened my email or not. So you can have 5 or 10 different touch points that runs over 30 days or 40 days based on your sales cycle, right? And there are a lot of other tools that offer this thing now. Of course, Outplay is one of them, a shameless plug, but there are a lot of other solutions which will really allow you to do that multi-channel approach and be organized with that. And so when it comes to the emails, I'm sure most everyone in the group is now anyways doing the emails. But how to get better response rates or meetings over the email, right? So if you're just sending out to emails to hundreds or thousands of prospects with the same subject line, that's not going to work anymore because of increased in the outreach and cold mails. Google and Microsoft and all the email providers also have increased scrutiny on those emails, right? So when you're sending out the emails to 100 people, make sure that subject line is different for everyone. So that's where these tools come in place and allow you to put those variables or replacement tokens. So personalized subject lines increases your response rates, I mean, open rates by 22%. So that's a study in the market. And try to include the words like, so this has worked for me always. Put their first name in the subject, either at the beginning of the subject, end of the subject. Like, let's say, how was the webinar first name? right? So instead of sending how's my webinar to all hundreds of people, if I have how's my webinar first name, it's like 100 different subjects that will become. The more personalization that you can do on the subject, the better your open rates would be. And so these words in subject lines tend to work better. Having first name, demo, connect, cancellation, apply, opportunity, conference, payment. So these are all maybe, for example, if you want to do about a cancellation, you can say cancellation and your competitor name. For example, if you're selling a product, you can say, have you canceled your outreach subscription, for example, and first name. That could be one example that I can use to reach out to reach out to the people, and it improves the open rates because outreach is a product that they are right now using or have used in the past, and it has their name, it has the cancellation word as well, which gets the eyeballs of these people. And use of comprehensive words like we, us, and all these try to tend to work more than using I. So this is a study I found on online, but I haven't really tested myself on that. So I just go by very generic subjects with first names and company names and all that. And it should be very short as well, be it your subject or be it your whole pitch. Now, most of your buyers, more than 90% of your buyers are on mobile always, right? So if they just open your cold mail on a mobile phone, they should be able to read that, right? So it should not be scroll, scroll, scroll again. So they eventually delete it or just go, make it as a read. So they don't read the whole subject, or they'll make it as an unread to read after when they're in front of their desktop, which will again, it's kind of a friction that you're adding on to your email. So make it very crisp. And once you get connected, you can pitch more about the product, right? So pitch less about your product and talk more about their problems. So obviously, when you talk more about their problems, you can write a whole story out of it, right? So it can be very crisp on that stuff. And voicemails, not many people are making use of these voicemails across the world right now. But the fact is, when you make calls to 100 people, there are high chances that 97 of times you reach a voicemail inbox. So it says that, hey, you've reached a voicemail of XYZ, please leave a message after the tone, right? So, and then people hang up. But the people using these voicemails, so there is a Facebook group that I'm part of, and the people talk about it all the time, right? So people started receiving responses on the voicemail, and there are a lot of voicemail scripts also available online. So 8-second voicemail script. So you just call the person and tell them that that one problem that they're facing probably, and then you tell them that I have dropped you an email regarding the same. So it's kind of a teaser that you're leaving a voicemail. That's a one touch point. And when they go to their desktop and open the email, they could connect those dots, right? So of course you can't really or record your voicemail 97 times out of 100. So that's why if there are any tools which kind of allow you to drop that pre-recorded voicemail. So again, most of the sales tools offer that now, including Outplay. So when you have those pre-recorded voicemails as part of your collection, whenever you reach a voicemail based on your prospect, based on which country they are, what problem they're facing, you can select a pre-recorded voicemail, drop, and move on. So you've saved a lot of time by doing this. So you can do it at scale as well. LinkedIn, as we spoke, LinkedIn is really working well for me and for my team and everyone across the sales community. So you can have LinkedIn connection request, or you can send them a direct email, or you can first engage with them by liking their post, commenting on their post, asking them a question. So these are all different kind of strategies that you can make use of on LinkedIn to make connection with those people, and then you can start pitching with them slowly. So unless you're selling it to an offline sector, everyone is on LinkedIn right now. So not everyone is active, but they are on LinkedIn right now. And everyone started getting active on LinkedIn. People starting making videos, started writing articles like a Facebook status update and all that stuff. So I would highly recommend, if you're not doing LinkedIn, it's big time, you're missing out a lot of opportunities. And then whether being active on LinkedIn or any other social media, is it really working to get more meetings and get more revenues? Yes. So study says that people using the social media or the social touch points tend to exceed their quota by 23%, right? So compared to an average sales guy who is not using any of the social media touch points or social media to sell the products or services. And text messaging is another thing. The biggest advantage, as we know, of text messaging, unlike 24% opens of your emails, 98% of text messages getting opens, right? And 90% of text messages are read within 3 minutes compared to the emails. I don't know how much time email takes on average, but your text messages. So you can drop a quick text message which says that, hey, I've dropped you an email, I saw that you are looking out for something like this, and we have an interesting offer, I've dropped you an email, looking forward to your response. So it can be as simple as that, dropping a text message. But I mean, I don't really encourage doing spam around this thing. But once you get connected with a prospect, once you get a response from them, then you can start using text messaging as a channel. So it's not cold anymore. You got connected to the buyer already. So it can be kind of a warm or a hot lead. Now you can start using text messages, and people are comfortable responding over the text messages. And text messages gets 209% higher response rates than anything. And nearly 30% of consumers will respond to your text messages, right? So start using text messages, but not for cold leads, but once you see they become warm or hot. And follow-ups, the kind of a very interesting and the big debatable topic is how many follow-ups that I should do, or how many follow-ups that a successful sales guy is doing right now, right? So study shows that you have to do more than 5 follow-ups is a very average thing from this study, but what I would say is you have to do minimum 12 follow-ups. So that's 1, 2. You have to do minimum 12 follow-ups to get a response from a buyer these days. And so the study here is 80% of sales require 5 follow-up calls even after the meeting. We are not talking about getting connected. We are talking about you had a meeting with the person, and it takes minimum 5 follow-ups to get the sale from these folks, right? So if you're not doing follow-ups, either on the cold leads or even after the demo meeting is booked, you have done a demo, you met them in person. If you're not doing follow-ups, you're missing out and you're leaving a lot of money on the table. And 44% of sales reps just give up after first follow-up. So if you are on this 44%, you're missing out a lot of money. If you're not on this 44%, your competition is less by 44% because those guys are not doing follow-ups. And if you do follow-ups, you have a higher chances of getting that sale done, right? And there are a lot of stats here, which percentage of people connect and all that stuff. But 80% of sales generally made after 5th to 12th touches. So why take a chance with 5 touch points? Let's just do 12 or even more than 12 touch points, right? Now it's not need to be all 12 emails right now. That's what we are talking about, right? You don't have to send 12 emails just because you have to do 12 touch points or 12 follow-ups. You have all the other options right now apart from email, as we discussed: text, voicemail, phone call, LinkedIn, pinging them on Slack or wherever they're active. There are a lot of other channels you can approach them right now. And so I have a very interesting example from one of my friend at LeadIQ. So Jeremy of LeadIQ is kind enough to share me that example with me. So he did 11 follow-ups. They are not just follow-ups; they're all personalized follow-ups to get a response from one of his buyers. So I have the full email here. I can just show you here. So this all starts from here. So these are just email examples. Apart from these 11 emails, he has made a lot of calls, voicemails to that buyer. So we can see here, it all started from here, where he went to his customer database and he found that one of the team member from this company called Degree has signed up to the product, but they're not really buying the product. So now what this guy did is, interestingly, he went onto this company, found out the head of this guy. So the person signed up and he found the head of this guy, or a VP sales or a head of sales. And then it's very interesting that he took a screenshot of his teammate who signed up with the product, and he sent this very highly personalized email saying that, hey, I see that one of your colleague has signed up. Can we talk next week, right? So this is a very highly personalized email, and you might be thinking that this will give you a response, but no. So, and then he went on to the LinkedIn profile of that VP sales, found out who are all the mutual friends, and he found out that 47 connections are mutual. And then he put that screenshot as well with one person out of that 47. So he just said that, hey, I was just looking at your LinkedIn profile and I can see we have 47 mutual connections. And one of that person is this guy, right? So again, a screenshot of that. So it's again a very highly personalized one. And then the third follow-up is exactly giving a quick GIF. So this is a quick GIF of demoing the product. So demoing the LeadIQ, showing how these guys can kind of do the lead generation. So LeadIQ is the lead generation product. So he just exactly showed his buyer persona of the VP sales and showed him how to pull leads from LinkedIn to LeadIQ and eventually to a tool like Outplay or an outreach to do the cold outreach. So that didn't give a response. So this is like third touch point we saw, and all of them is personal. And fourth is he made a video. So he just used a tool Vidyad. So you can see his face here. And then he took a video where he explains about how to pull leads for their lead generation. So this is again personal. And then again, one more touch point where he actually showed how LeadIQ can pull the email addresses and phone numbers of his prospects, right? And again, one more touch point where he's putting a testimony of one of his existing customer. So one of his existing customers said, "I love LeadIQ and has got me 113% or 190%, whatever it is." So he just put a testimonial here. And then again, he said that noticed you have been searching for an alternate to ZoomInfo. So now he figured out that this guy is using ZoomInfo and he's trying to sell LeadIQ to that person. And he's following that prospect very closely on LinkedIn. So he's reaching out to this guy, head of sales. Actually, all these emails are going out to Rian, head of sales at the grid. So at one day, he said that we are having some challenges with the current solution, ZoomInfo. And you see my friend Jeremy is already here making a touch point with him. So he's having a problem with ZoomInfo, and then Jeremy is here uh, um, trying to offer LeadIQ. And you can see the best part is an existing customer of LeadIQ came onto the thread and endorsed the product. So we added LeadIQ and we loved it. So what else you need to get a response from this guy, even after having all these touch points and having a conversation on LinkedIn? But that didn't help Jeremy. So he didn't get a response from him. So again, he sent a one more personal follow-up, again a follow-up, again a follow-up, again a follow-up. So after all these follow-ups, finally this head of sales responded back to Jeremy. So first thing he says is, I want to compliment your persistency, creativity, effort with me over the last several months, right? So that's what it takes to get a head of sales, VP sales, or any C-suite or a CXO responses. So if you're just blasting out emails and looking at those response rates or meeting bookings, that's not working anymore. This is what it takes to really get someone like a head of sale. So if you're going after head of departments, or if you're going after CEOs, CXOs, and all CTOs and all that stuff, you have to really think about personalizing these emails or phone calls, whatever it is. So that's a great example. Thanks to Jeremy for giving access to that exact template. So that's why I say average is 12, and where Jeremy got response is after 11 emails plus a lot of phone calls, voicemails, and LinkedIn touch points, which we're not even counting in this 11. So make sure you're going anywhere between 12 and beyond that. And referrals is the one other thing that a lot of salespeople don't make use of this thing, as we have seen in the previous example case where on LinkedIn, actually a customer came and endorsed the product. So getting endorsements from these existing customers or getting referrals from existing customers is one other big channel, and it works really well. So 91% of the customers says that they're ready to give referrals, but only 11% of salespeople ask for them, right? So people are ready to give you referrals and testimonials and endorsements, but you're not asking them, right? And 84% of B2B decision making starts with a referral. A VP sales in a company trusts a VP sales next door or his LinkedIn connection than trusting your cold mail to buy a product or buy your service, right? And of course, when you get customers from referrals, retentions, and a lot of other advantages come inherently. But referrals is one other thing. And we have started asking our customers at Outplay to write a review, put an endorsement on Facebook, give a referral. So I have a huge list of, so this is all my partnerships sheet where I have all these partnerships that I want to go after. And a lot of those things come from referrals of existing customers. So if you're not doing it, start doing it, right? I think we are almost towards the end of this thing. So one thing that I want to exclusively offer to this community, especially to you guys right now, is we are working on an ebook called 30 plus sales sequences. So these are all sales sequences that we have got, like the one example that I've showed you from Jeremy. We got a lot of examples like that from all these top 30 companies, and we are making an ebook out of it. So you can actually copy their strategies, use templates, make tweaks to those templates. It includes the metrics as well. What kind of response rates or the open rates that these companies are getting. So this is a pre-release kind of a copy. We haven't released the ebook. We are still working on it, but I'd be more than happy to share that pre-release copy with you guys and take your feedback. And if that helps you take out some inspiration from all these sequences, I'll be more than happy to do that. And by the way, what is Outplay and who I am? Like, as I said, I'm one of the founders at Outplay. And it's a very shameless plug. Outplay will help you do all that stuff that we have discussed so far, sending emails at a scale and be personalized, making calls, leaving voicemails, sending out, sorry, I got a call. So sending out text messages, all this stuff you can do on Outplay. It's a sales engagement or a sales outreach platform. Feel free to sign up. We have put in a free trial, and I'll be more than happy to help you set up your sales cadences and all that stuff. So I think that's it. We have got to the end of the thing. Thank you for being with me and going through all these slides with me. As I said, this is kind of second webinar that I am giving. So thanks for bearing with me. If you guys have any questions here, feel free to put your questions here. I know where do we have this? Yeah, so let me just go to chat. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them here. I think we have some questions here. I think we have done with this. Okay, there's my profile. He's my teammate again. He's a sales guy, so you know that. Voicemails. So you see that we are trying to make use of this community now. So voicemails probably works in the USA only. Yes, might work in Europe as well. I don't know. I haven't tried it, but yeah, US it works.
Yes, guys, and do we have someone actually who works with Europe? Is voicemailing available in Europe? Is everyone?
As far as I know, it's available. I keep dropping some voicemails to the people who sign up on Outplay, but I haven't got any responses back on Outplay. Yeah. Oh yeah, again, thanks Vamshi. So the example that I've showed Jeremy from LeadIQ, he's a kick-ass sales guy. You can start follow with on LinkedIn. You'll have a lot of advice from him. Do I mean again it make it personalized. Now let's do this thing. Send a connection request to Jeremy and tell him that Lax from Outplay has showed your sequence over the webinar. So that's a personalization, right?
We have an
So do
interesting
you have
question.
okay, yeah, please go on, like
Yeah, we have an interesting question. Probably you have missed it. Let me find it. Oh, do you have examples of follow-ups for selling services, not a product? What is the
I don't
difference?
have, yeah, I don't have examples, but it's not so hard. As said, right, keep it personalized, keep it short. So when it is short, you don't have to be too creative. So you don't really have to write a long copy of it. I don't have examples, but probably if you search on Google, you might find some. But if you prepare an example thing, I'll be happy to go through, give my suggestions or the advice from my experience. Thank you, Natalie. That was highly informative. Thank you. When is the next seminar? Can you make it about follow-ups? Oh, sure, I'll be
Follow-ups.
love to. If there is enough for demand, I'll be happy to get some more examples and show you guys.
Yes, actually, we do mostly here in our country. We do follow-ups like only mostly they are in text. Like, hello, I'm following up to my previous message, and the message is like, so it's like this.
Okay.
And what I just saw, it was quite creative and what a persistence I could say. And
Yes.
yes, and it really takes a lot of time for each prospect. But actually, if you work in B2B, you don't have a lot prospect than if you work in a product. So this
Oh
guy
yeah.
is a,
Oh yeah.
it's
So that's a
interesting.
hell of an example. What I got for you guys from Jeremy is a hell of an example of what it takes really, right? I'm really surprised at looking at that. That kind of a personalization, that to 11 follow-ups is like insane.
Yes, and this gifts, it was like, it was awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
Guys, please ask questions if you have any questions. Don't hesitate to ask, or we're about to go into the end of the webinar. Lex, and what
Oh
about
yeah.
this this great PDF copy of this ebook? Will you send it to me so that I could send it to all of our participants
Oh yeah, sure. So
later?
if you have a list
Later
of
on.
them already, yeah, I was just yeah, about to type. They can reach out to me if you guys want any advice or whatever it is. I'm just pinging here. So that's my email address. You can just reach out to me for anything, and I'll give that ebook and I'll give the PDF that I've showed you guys now with all those facts. I'll give it to Oleg, and he can share it with the community.